Beneath the brilliant Mediterranean sun of ancient Greece, an epic struggle unfolded. A clash of ideologies, of cultural pride, and of military might. I narrate the tale of the Peloponnesian War, a conflict that reshaped the Greek world and left enduring lessons in strategy, leadership, and the art of war. Set over the span of 20 turbulent years, this war saw the maritime powerhouse of Athens confront the austere, battle-hardened warrior state of Sparta. In this drama, every battle, every tactical maneuver, resonated with the spirit and ambition of two very different worlds. My narrative will guide you through the triumphs and tragedies of this colossal confrontation, where the gleam of ships on the sea was as decisive as the clash of spears on the battlefield. Throughout history, conflicts have often been painted in broad strokes of glory and defeat, but this war promises a closer, more nuanced look at the interplay of sea power, political ambition, and the enduring lessons of adaptability and innovation. As I unravel the layers of this ancient struggle, you will witness how Athens harnessed the brilliance of its naval prowess, and how Sparta, with its rigid martial discipline, sought to challenge an empire built on seaborne ambition. Join me on a journey back in time, where the waves themselves whispered secrets of triumph and defeat, guiding the fate of nations. This is the story of strategy, of ambition, and of the timeless human quest for dominance. Witness the echo of ancient battles still resonating today finally. Before the fires of battle lit the sky, the balance of power in Greece was shifting. Across sun-dappled valleys and city-ports, rivalries simmered among the Greek states. Athens, rising as a hub of trade, culture, and maritime innovation, fostered alliances that spanned from the shimmering islands of the Aegean to distant shores. In contrast, Sparta, renowned for its strict military discipline and austere lifestyle, maintained control over the Peloponnesian heartland with an iron resolve. Deep-seated tensions, economic rivalries, and political hostilities laid the groundwork for an inevitable clash. The factions within allied states, with ambitions that complicated the landscape, further widened the divide. In cities like Corinth, diverging loyalties and the desire for power only increased the rift between the dominant maritime force of Athens and the immutable warrior code of Sparta. The simmering conflicts were not merely disputes over territorial gains, but battles of ideologies, one celebrating creative enterprise and the other venerating martial tradition. As the social and economic fabrics of these communities were interwoven with pride and rivalry, mistrust grew. Each state eyed the other's expansions with a cautious blend of admiration and envy. In these intricate settings, the seeds of war were sown long before any clash of swords or splash of oars occurred, setting the stage for one of history's most celebrated and complex conflicts. History speaks of these early tensions as much as it does of the battles that followed, revealing how deeply the roots of the Peloponnesian War lay in the heart of ancient Greece. Athens emerged not only as a center for art and philosophy, but also as a formidable maritime empire, a beacon of innovation on the water. With a spirit that celebrated freedom and creativity, the Athenians harnessed the power of the sea to build an empire that reached from the gleaming harbors of the Aegean islands to the distant stretches of the Mediterranean. In Athens, every ship, every oar, and every careful maneuver told a story of ambition and reinvention. Their naval fleet was not merely a tool for warfare, it was a symbol of the city's ingenuity and determination. The Athenians constructed long, sturdy walls to protect their ports, ensuring that the lifeblood of commerce and military might could flow unhindered from the busy docks of Piraeus. In the bustling shipyards and harbors, expert craftsmen and skilled sailors labored side by side, their efforts interwoven with the city's aspirations. The concept of sea power was understood as the ability to control vast tracts of water merely by the presence and skill of a battle fleet. This power was a notion that resonated with the heartbeat of Athens. It transformed the rugged Aegean into an extension of the city's territory. Every wave that crashed against an Athenian warship carried with it the promise of victory and the hope of securing a future unmarred by the threat of enemies. Evolving tactics meant that naval encounters grew increasingly sophisticated. The Athenians carefully drilled their crews to operate as one cohesive unit, an idea that would come to redefine the nature of maritime combat for centuries. Their strategies were not static, They adapted to changing conditions, learning from both triumphs and setbacks. This relentless pursuit of excellence allowed Athens to maintain a balance between brawn and cunning, a balance that underscored the entire philosophy of sea power. Through trade, warfare, and diplomatic maneuvering, the Athenian navy became the lifeline of an empire that saw the sea as an infinite frontier to be tamed, conquered, and celebrated. At the heart of this maritime revolution was creativity blended with practicality. Athens knew that sea control brought military strength alongside economic prosperity. The lively markets and incessant shipbuilding testified to a society driven by innovation. Every victory at sea affirmed Athens' mastery over the waves, building a legacy that would inspire generations and transform naval warfare forever. This spirit reshaped maritime history overall undeniably. Athenian spirit prevailed. Contrasting sharply with the dynamic and innovative spirit of Athens, Sparta stood as the embodiment of traditional martial valor. In the stark and disciplined landscapes of the Peloponnesus, the Spartans forged their identity through unwavering commitment to military excellence. Their society revolved almost entirely around the art of war, with boys rigorously trained from a tender age in endurance, discipline, and the relentless pursuit of physical perfection. Unlike the creative and fluid approach of their Athenian rivals, Spartan life was governed by strict routines and a somber adherence to customs that valued strength, unity, and order above all else. For Sparta, warfare was not merely a means of expansion. It was a sacred duty and a way of life. The Spartans believed that through rigorous training and an uncompromising code of honor, they could secure a future defined by unwavering courage and honor. In every phalanx, the tight-knit formation of soldiers moving as one united force, lay a profound embodiment of collective resolve and unfaltering spirit. Spartan citizens and their allies, including discerning powers like Corinth, shared in this ethos, forming bonds forged in the heat of battle and tempered by the challenges of life on a rugged frontier. Their military engagements were clear, direct, and undeniably effective on the battlefield. While the Athenians refined intricate naval maneuvers, the Spartans honed time-tested tactics that emphasized resilience and brute strength. In the eyes of history, Spartan warfare may appear unadorned, but it was built upon a foundation of relentless discipline and centuries-old traditions. This commitment would forever define Sparta as an enduring symbol of martial might, a counterbalance to Athens' ingenuity, and a pillar in the struggle that shaped classical Greece. Spartan valor and discipline forged a legacy that resonated through the ages, inspiring respect among rivals. During the turbulent years of the Peloponnesian War, naval combat underwent a remarkable transformation. Early battles on the open sea were fought using familiar techniques that mimicked land warfare, where ships collided and sailors engaged in close combat. But as the conflict deepened, the need for more refined strategies became apparent, and Athens began to innovate in ways that transformed traditional naval engagements into displays of coordinated tactical brilliance. The evolution of these tactics was not an overnight miracle. It was forged through countless skirmishes, the experience of repeated encounters, and the output of brilliant minds like Phormio, whose ingenuity on the water would change the nature of warfare. Phormio, an admiral of remarkable foresight, ventured beyond established maneuvers to experiment with formation tactics that sought to disrupt enemy lines. By skillfully positioning his ships, he was able to cut the line and exploit gaps in the enemy's formation, effectively isolating segments of the opposing fleet. His maneuvers were not merely reactive. They were the result of meticulous planning and disciplined execution. Under his command, the fleet drilled relentlessly, learning to move as one fluid entity, ready to adapt instantaneously to emerging threats. This new way of thinking mitigated the limitations of rigid battle formations and introduced an element of strategic unpredictability. Simultaneously, the Athenians recognized that the natural environment played a crucial role in determining the outcome of sea battles. They learned to harness the wind, navigate shifting currents, and choose battlefields that maximize their advantages while exposing the enemy's vulnerabilities. This innovative approach allowed them to compensate for any numerical disadvantages, transforming environmental factors into strategic assets. The integration of natural elements into naval tactics added a new layer of complexity and creativity to the art of warfare, reinforcing the notion that victory was achieved not only by manpower, but also by mastery over the surroundings. This period witnessed the birth of maneuvers that remain influential even in modern military strategy. Coordinated rotations, swift changes in formation, and a focus on gaining positional superiority became hallmarks of Athenian naval engagements. These tactical evolutions were more than mere adjustments. They were a revolution in thinking, a shift from the chaotic clashing of oars to a symphony of well-rehearsed movement that dazzled enemies and bolstered the fleet's effectiveness. As the war progressed, every encounter at sea became an opportunity to refine techniques and develop new approaches, ensuring that the promise of victory was intertwined with smart, adaptive action. In summary, the evolution of naval tactics during the Peloponnesian War illustrates an era of rapid innovation and adaptation. It showcases how a society, confronted with the harsh realities of war, can transform its strategies to turn challenges into tactical triumphs. The Athenian Navy, through continuous learning and experimentation, not only expanded its reach, but also redefined the very nature of maritime conflict. Their journey from rudimentary naval clashes to refined and deliberate maneuvers stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless quest for improvement on the high seas. Absolutely transformative. Across the sprawling theaters of the Peloponnesian War, several battles emerged as milestones that encapsulated the evolving strategies of the era. The Battle of Naupactus stands out as one such illustration, where a masterful tactical maneuver transformed a seemingly imbalanced engagement into a decisive victory. In this battle, Phormio had the foresight to adopt a circle formation, with ships arrayed in a tight embrace, protecting smaller support vessels while the fleet advanced as one cohesive unit. When the enemy fell into this carefully laid trap, the Athenian fleet executed a swift counterattack, isolating and capturing several enemy ships, leaving the opposition disoriented and in retreat. The narrative of the war would not be complete without the dramatic, but ultimately disastrous foray at Syracuse. With grand ambitions fueling their campaign, the Athenians launched a daring expedition to Sicily, hoping to extend their sphere of influence. In the labyrinthine harbors of Syracuse, the Athenian fleet found itself entangled in a series of fierce, indecisive actions. Here, the local forces, employing makeshift vessels and soldiers adept at land combat, turned the narrow confines of the harbor into a veritable battlefield. The resulting melee exposed the limitations of sea power when confronted with an enemy determined to transform their environment into an extension of the land. Yet another pivotal confrontation unfolded at Cyzicus, where numerical inferiority did not translate into defeat for the Athenians. Under the subtle leadership of Alcibiades, the fleet was divided into multiple squadrons, with one engaging the enemy directly while the others maneuvered to encircle them. This clever tactic forced the enemy to spread their forces, allowing the Athenians to turn the tables at a critical juncture and secure a complete victory. The Battle of Cyzicus thus exemplified the impact of superior strategy and the willingness to adapt tactics on the fly. Finally, the catastrophic clash at Ægospotami marked the beginning of the end for Athenian dominance. Lulled into a false sense of security, the Athenian fleet found itself scattered after its crews ventured inland in search of needed supplies. Seizing the opportunity, the Peloponnesian forces, under the astute command of Lysander, launched a surprise offensive. With precision and speed, they struck the ships anchored near the shore, capturing and destroying vessels that had once represented unrivaled sea power. This decisive action shattered the core of Athenian naval strength and signaled the downfall of an empire built on maritime glory. Each of these battles tells a story, not just of tactical genius and brave warriors, but of a profound transformation in the way wars were fought. The shifting dynamics on the water, the use of ingenious strategies, and the interplay between human determination and environmental challenges collectively reshaped the course of the war. These epic confrontations remain etched in history as powerful lessons on the importance of innovation, adaptability, and decisive action in the face of overwhelming odds. In the grand tapestry of war, these confrontations serve as enduring reminders that strategy and adaptability can triumph over sheer numbers, every single time indeed. Reflecting on the tumultuous era of the Peloponnesian War, a clear tapestry of lessons emerges, woven with threads of ambition, innovation, and enduring conflict. The conflict was not just a battle between two cities or two ways of life. It was a profound experiment in the art of warfare. Athens' mastery of sea power allowed it to project influence far beyond its borders, while Sparta's steadfast commitment to traditional military prowess underscored the timeless value of discipline and resilience. In the aftermath of battle, the shifting fortunes of these ancient powers remind us that adaptability and the capacity to learn from defeat can be the determining factors in the fate of nations. The lessons of this war continue to resonate, transcending the limitations of time and offering insights into modern strategic thinking. While the tactics and technologies have evolved dramatically over the millennia, the fundamental principles remain constant. Control of critical assets, whether they be naval fleets, economies, or even networks in the modern age, hinges on the continuous interplay of innovative strategy and rigid structure. Those who exploit opportunities and adapt to shifting circumstances are often the ones who shape history. Moreover, the legacy of the Peloponnesian War serves as a powerful reminder of the inherent risks of over-reliance on a single form of power. The Athenian obsession with naval supremacy, though a formidable advantage for a time, ultimately proved vulnerable when broader strategies failed or were outmaneuvered. It is in this delicate balance between land and sea, old traditions and new innovations, that the true art of winning is revealed. The echo of these ancient battles invites modern audiences to reflect on how strategic diversity and a willingness to evolve remain as critical today as they were on the turbulent waves of the ancient Mediterranean.